Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How has our day been so far? I hope you've had a pleasant day. So you're welcome to another edition of the Wellness Wednesday. I hope I'm audible enough. You can all hear me and see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. Maybe if you,
Ah,
yes, we can see
oh,
your screen.
okay. Thank you. So today's topic would be the different types of hepatitis and how to protect your liver. So I want to believe the liver is not a new organ we're hearing for the very first time today. We all have livers. I mean, we've always heard there's this phrase that is popular, your liver, you get liver, something like that. So we'll just be talking about the different types of hepatitis and how we can help protect our liver. And so just like a brief introduction, every 30 seconds, someone in the world dies from a hepatitis related illness, meaning that every 30 seconds, someone is dying, and the cause of that death is related to hepatitis. And so it can look very scary, but then it's largely preventable. And that is what Wellness Wednesday is all about, prevention. And so according to the World Health Organization, in 2019, over 1.1 million people died from hepatitis. And currently, over 300 million people have hepatitis B and hepatitis C. And so not to worry if you're just hearing about hepatitis B and C for the first time. As we go along in the presentation, I would explain the different types of hepatitis. And so this is just a brief anatomy. So what do we mean when we say hepatitis? Hepatitis is just a medical term for inflammation of the liver. So let's assume, so inflammation in general, so let's assume there's an injury. In that injury, there's swelling, the place becomes red, it is tense, it is hot. So those are like different characteristics of what we mean by inflammation. So now imagine all this thing goes on in our internal organ, so the liver for today. And so if you could just use your palm, I don't know if you can see me, just use one of your arm to touch your abdomen, the upper part of your abdomen. That is usually where the liver is located. So the liver is at the upper right of the abdomen, and most of it is underneath the rib cage. So even when you touch it, you would not usually feel it. You can only feel it when it's enlarged. So, and that is not what we want it to be. So it's just, if you just touch your upper right abdomen, that's the location of your liver. And so it is the largest solid organ in the body. So we all have different organs. Okay, sorry. Someone is saying the screen is dark. Let me try and lighten it. Is it better? Okay. So hepatitis, like I said, the liver is the largest solid organ in the body. And then some of the functions of the liver, why the liver is a very important organ, is that it stores fuel for the body, which is made from sugar. So once we eat, all what we eat is broken down to the barest minimum of sugar, and then it gets converted to glycogen. And then this glycogen is then stored in the liver. So peradventure, anytime we are hungry, there's starvation, the body then gets this glycogen from the liver back. So that's just the way it works. The liver also helps to process fat and protein from what we eat. It is the one that clears most of the medications we take. So you would hear during consultations, once someone has liver problem, you might have to reduce the dosage of the drug, because at the end of the day, it's still getting to the liver and we do not want it to be harmful. That is why you can say that it processes many medications we take. So it also filters harmful products, poisons from the body, and including alcohol. So the liver is the main organ that gets affected by alcohol, and it's the liver that helps to clear this from the system. And so it excretes bilirubin. So I don't know if you've heard of bilirubin. So once we all know blood in the body. There's a part of the blood called red blood cell. Once it gets broken down, a byproduct is bilirubin. And so this bilirubin, once it's excess, it is what is responsible for. I don't know if you've seen people, the white part of their eye gets yellow. So it is because either the liver is bad, so it is not clearing it well. That is why it's yellow. Or there's something causing the blood to break down drastically. And so those are the two ways it can play out. So the liver also produces proteins that is essential for blood clotting. And so what do I mean by blood clotting? So take for instance, you have an injury. It doesn't just bleed forever. At the point it's going to stop bleeding. So some of these proteins that makes injury stop bleeding is being produced by the liver. So everything I've said, you can all see why the liver is a very, very important organ. And then this liver can be severely affected by hepatitis, and that is what this whole Wellness Wednesday today is all about. Remember I said that hepatitis is inflammation of the liver, so there's something going on in the liver. That's just the brief summary. Let me move on to the next slide. Okay, so what are the types of hepatitis? So there are a number of types of hepatitis, and there are a number of causes of hepatitis. And usually the type will determine how serious an illness is. It can be mild, for others it can be very, very serious. And there are also two different types of presentation. So when you see acute, so acute just means it's short lasting. If you get the illness now, in less than 6 months, you recover. And then it can then become more serious and become chronic. And so for chronic, that means it's lasting more than 6 months. And so it can start as acute and then become chronic. And then when it becomes chronic, it can then cause serious liver damage in the long term. And so if you're just joining towards the end, I'll be telling you some points that you can use to protect your liver so that it doesn't get damaged in the long term. So what causes hepatitis? There are different causes of hepatitis. So you can just leave a comment on the chat if anybody knows. So the screen is already showing, but there are still more causes. If anybody knows causes of hepatitis, you can just leave a comment and then I will look at it. And so I've said one very common cause earlier, something we drink can cause hepatitis. So if anybody knows it, you can just type a message and let me see if you're following. Okay, so like I said, viruses. So there are 5 different types. We have hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, D, or E, and they are usually the most common cause of hepatitis. And so there are other causes. So I can see Mr. Biodun, that's a very brilliant answer there. Thank you very much. So like I said, aside viruses, there's what we call the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So what this just means is that there's excess fat in the liver and it is not caused by alcohol. That's why they said non-alcoholic. And so it can be common in people who are obese. And so these are people who their body mass index is more than 30. In one of the previous Wellness Wednesday, I'm sure we've learned about body mass index and how to calculate our body mass index. So it's just a ratio of your weight and your height together. So if you miss that, you can just meet Dr. Aino. She'll be glad to share the recording with you. And so obesity is a risk factor for this type of hepatitis. There's also diabetes, that's high blood sugar, and then high blood pressure. So these are all risk factors for the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which can also cause hepatitis. The other one we'll be talking about is when there is increased amount of copper in the liver. So the medical term is what I kept in brackets. That's one. So the second one is when there's increased amounts of iron in the body. And so the medical term is also what I kept in the brackets. So excess iron, excess copper stored in the liver can also cause hepatitis. And so moving on, there's also a type we call autoimmune. And so just autoimmune just means that your body is attacking oneself. So in this case, the liver. The body is attacking the liver, and that's another type of hepatitis. And this, I'm sure we've all heard of paracetamol. I don't think there's anybody here that has not taken paracetamol at any point in their lifetime. And so, like I said, remember I said that the medications are cleared by the liver, some medications. And so paracetamol taken in very large amounts in overdose, both the quantity and the duration. So if the duration is not adequately spaced, if it's just taken at once and the quantity is also much, it can cause hepatitis. And then the very popular one, alcoholic hepatitis. So this is just too much consumption of alcohol over a very long time. And it is actually reversible if the alcohol is reduced. once the consumption of alcohol gets reduced, it can be reversible. But a minute percentage of people still then go on to have long-term liver damage. And I just kept the medical term in brackets there. So moving on, we'll be talking about how common is hepatitis. Why are we even talking about hepatitis today? And so Nigeria is one of the countries with a very high prevalence of viral. So we'll be focusing more on viral hepatitis, that's hepatitis A to E. So like I said, Nigeria is one of the countries with a very high prevalence of viral hepatitis, and the burden really is more on children, women, everybody gets infected. There's no respect of gender. And so this situation can be easily averted because viral hepatitis is easily preventable. And how can it be prevented? Through vaccination. So we've all heard of vaccination before. The popular one currently ongoing is the COVID vaccination. So there's also hepatitis vaccination. And even in children, there's a particular way schedule they give children. So that's one way. And through regular screening. What do I mean by regular screening? So we can test for hepatitis B, we can test for hepatitis C, we can test for hepatitis A. And through regular screening, it can then lead to early detection. And once you know that, okay, you're fine, that's great. You just need to follow some of the pointers I'll be sharing towards the end of presentation, how to protect your liver. And if it's eventually detected, there are medications, and then you just need to know that you need to keep doing some of the follow-ups, like your liver, just checking how your liver is doing generally. And so I would talk more about, like I said, A, B, C, D, E, the 5 different types. I'll be talking about each of them one by one now. So hepatitis A. So how do people get hepatitis A? Usually hepatitis A is present in the stool of an infected individual. So if you check studies, you would see they will put Africa there because we are already known to have poor sanitation. So in summary, it is endemic here. It's endemic in Nigeria. So how do you get it? One can get it by eating uncooked food. Cooked or uncooked food, prepared or washed in contaminated water, or even drinking contaminated water. And so if you wash your fruits, your food in water that has already been contaminated with hepatitis A, that's one way of getting it. If you eat food already contaminated with hepatitis A, that's one way of getting it. And so there's a reservoir that has been formed that transmits this hepatitis A, and it's called shellfish. So for lovers of seafood here, you need to just pay more attention if you take shellfish a lot. So you just want to be the one to cook the shellfish. And so, moreover, this hepatitis is transmittable. You can infect one. So that means that if someone prepares food with unclean hands after using the toilet, so like I said, so it's fecal-oral, through feces, then oral. And so let's assume someone is infected and then uses the toilet, does not clean his or her hands, and then prepares food. That meal can then become contaminated. So the infection generally is short-term, meaning it doesn't last long. Most people recover. However, it can be long-term for some people. And so moving on to hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is transmitted through contact with body fluids. And so what are examples of body fluids? We have blood, vaginal secretion, semen from infected individuals. So for this slide, so if you're having unprotected sex with an infected individual, the risk of getting it is also high. And so there's also a small risk of contracting the virus from sharing toothbrushes, razors. So if the toothbrush or razor blade is already contaminated with blood, and then an individual uses it, and so let's assume this individual has a cut, or there's just a breach in the skin of the individual, and then there's a contact, hepatitis B can also be spread through that means. So it can also be spread through blood transfusion with unscreened blood, sharing sharp objects such as sterile tattooing or body piercing equipment. And so there's also a very recent means of contacting hepatitis B, especially among the young. That's intravenous. So IV just means you're injecting recreational drugs into your system. So that's also, and what has been noticed that the people who inject these illegal drugs into their system, they recycle their needles, meaning they can share their needles. And that's a very, very easy way of transmitting hepatitis if any one of them has it. And so the next point is vertical transmission. So vertical transmission just means a pregnant woman giving it to an unborn child. So these are the different means of how we can get hepatitis B. And we should also pay attention to this because there's another type of hepatitis, hepatitis C, which has similar means of transmission with hepatitis B. So once I get there, you will all just be repeating it for me so I can be sure you are following. So you just put it in the comment section when I get there. So just to recap what I've said so far. We've talked about hepatitis A and hepatitis B. We said hepatitis A is mainly transmitted through contaminated food, contaminated water, while hepatitis B through contact with infected blood, vaginal secretions, semen, sharing toothbrushes or razors has been contaminated with an infected blood, which then comes in contact with an individual that has a cut, and so the blood just enters through the cut. It can also be spread through blood transfusion or from pregnant women to their unborn child. And so why are we talking about hepatitis B? It can survive in the body for more than 1 week. And so the means of transmission, so if you are going to compare hepatitis B to HIV, hepatitis B can last for more than 5 days and then an individual can last. So that means the infectivity of hepatitis B is far more higher than HIV. And so because the whole media talks about HIV, hepatitis B kind of take a backseat, and it's not meant to be so because the risk of transmission of hepatitis B is far more higher than that of HIV. However, it's important to note that you cannot get it from hugging or holding hands, so you don't need to discriminate anybody that is eventually infected. So like I said, the virus can cause short-term infection. So that means that you may or may not have any symptom, even if you're infected. And so there's a statistics here that just says, so let's assume 10 adults are infected. Within 3 to 6 months, 9 out of these 10 people, the virus gets cleared, so it doesn't become chronic. The body takes care of the hepatitis. However, 1 out of these 10 people, 10 adults, the virus can remain long-term. And remaining long-term does not have anything to do with if you had any symptom or you did not have any symptom when it was in the acute phase. It can just occur sporadically. However, for babies, this statistic is quite different. It has been seen that 9 in 10 babies infected from their mothers, the virus remains long-term. So that means it's just 1 out of every 10 baby infected from their mother that it doesn't become chronic. And so that is why it's very important to pay good attention to your antenatal classes. If you know anybody, any sibling, any cousin, nephew who are pregnant, who intend to get pregnant, please tell them to pay attention to their antenatal care and get tested for hepatitis. Because if they are infected 9 out of 10 times, when the baby gets it, they get it for life. So like I said, once they get it for life, it can then lead to chronic liver disease, liver cancer, liver damage. I already had some comments. I'm just trying to okay, so screening is very important. Prevention is better than cure. That's the truth. So hepatitis C. So like I said, I just need some comments. How can we get hepatitis C? I know I mentioned it when I was talking about hepatitis B. So just to be sure you are following. Hepatitis C can be spread through the same means as hepatitis B. So if you can give me examples of where people can get hepatitis C in the comments, I'll be looking through. And so it has been shown that compared to hepatitis B, hepatitis C is seen in people who take illegal drugs. So those are people that inject themselves with heroin, different types of recreational drugs. They are the ones that tend to have hepatitis C more. And then it is more likely to proceed to the chronic stage. So if you remember what I said for hepatitis B, 9 out of 10, the body clears it. So 1 out of the remaining 10 is not the one that now becomes chronic. While for hepatitis C, 5 to 8 out of 10, the virus remains active in the liver and bloodstream. So you can see that hepatitis C is more likely to become chronic, meaning it's more likely to last for a very long time compared to hepatitis B. So while there are vaccines for hepatitis B, there is no current vaccine for hepatitis C. However, science is rapidly evolving. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Biodun. So this unhygienic habit, like not washing your hands after using the toilet, is for hepatitis A. for hepatitis A. For hepatitis B and C is through blood, secretions, sharing on sterilized objects. Okay, so let's talk about hepatitis D. So the funny thing about hepatitis D is that you cannot get hepatitis D if you don't have hepatitis B. So it's a background. If you have hepatitis B, the probability of you getting a second hepatitis in addition to that is higher. But if you don't have hepatitis B, you cannot have hepatitis D. I don't know if you got the scenario I just painted here. So hepatitis D comes like a co-infection. So you only get it once the individual has been infected with hepatitis B. And then if there's now a combined infection, it can cause very severe outcome. And so the very good thing about hepatitis B is once you're vaccinated against hepatitis B, it also offers protection against hepatitis D. So it's very important that we get vaccinated with hepatitis B because you're not only preventing hepatitis B, you're also preventing hepatitis D because you cannot have hepatitis D if you don't have hepatitis B, basically. So hepatitis E. Hepatitis E is also similar to hepatitis. So Mr. Biodo, this is where it comes. So hepatitis A and hepatitis E, they have the same means of transmission through contaminated water and food. And so for those of us who have nannies or house helps that help us to cook. So it's very important that we screen. So there's something where they call food handlers test. I don't know if anybody has heard of a food handlers test. Those food handlers, people that handle your food. It's always very important for you to check that they don't have this hepatitis A and hepatitis E infection. And so it is short term. It doesn't kill anybody. The body takes care of it after a particular while, and then they can continue cooking the meals. So while there are vaccines for hepatitis A, they are not widely available compared to hepatitis B. So I'll just be talking about some of the signs and symptoms of an hepatitis infection. So remember I said hepatitis means inflammation of the liver. So the way anything that would affect the function of the liver are some of the symptoms you will see. Like I mentioned, yellow eyes. So not just eyes alone, just mucous membrane generally. Can even be the skin, yellowness of the eye. The urine can be coke-colored urine. So I remember when I was taking us about the different colors of urine, when I got to red, remember I said hepatitis can be a cause. So if you notice the urine is reddish, has a reddish discoloration, it might just be, that looks like coke, it might just be something is wrong with the liver, and hepatitis can be a cause. Itching. So there are some people who itch a lot. You see, if you check if you just do like an examination, you will see scratch marks. So this can be a sign of hepatitis. Feeling tired, feeling like vomiting. The color of their stool, you don't know the way our stool is kind of yellowish in a way. So theirs becomes like white colored stool, that's pale colored stool. You may have fever. You might notice that you're having joint pain, joint ache. So these are just common symptoms of hepatitis, that's inflammation of the liver. And so if you're just joining, I talked about the liver. The liver is the largest solid organ in the body. It is located in the right upper part of your abdomen. So you usually not feel it except it is enlarged. That is when you can now feel the liver. And the liver helps to do so many things. It helps to clear toxins. It helps to excrete bile. It helps to digest some nutrients and the likes. And these functions can be severely affected if there's an hepatitis infection. And I also mentioned that there are different types of hepatitis. So it can be short-term, that's less than 6 months, the body clears it, can then proceed to chronic, meaning more than 6 months. And then I also mentioned what can cause an hepatitis. So viruses are the most common type. And we have A to E, that's hepatitis A to E. And hepatitis A, hepatitis E have the same mode of transmission through unhygienic habits, from contaminated food, from contaminated water, eating not properly cooked seafood, that's hepatitis A and E. Hepatitis B and C, they have the same means of transmission, that's through blood, secretions, semen, blood transfusion, pregnant women to unborn child. We have hepatitis D, comes as a co-infection. So if you have hepatitis B, it's unless you have hepatitis B before you can have hepatitis D. So that's just like a brief summary of what we've discussed so far. And so how can you protect yourself from hepatitis? How can you keep your liver healthy? And so remember I said we're talking about prevention. That's what Wellness Wednesday is about. So you'd want to avoid eating raw or poorly cooked shellfish. Remember I said that shellfish are reservoirs for some of these viruses. You also want to, so when I say so not just raw salads and vegetables that have been washed in contaminated water. So you want to be sure of because you're just going to eat the salad directly. It doesn't need to be cooked or anything. Once you just get the salad, you're eating it. So you have to be sure that it was washed in clean water. So that's for salads, for vegetables. Ensure that it's washed in clean water, like I said. Hepatitis A, hepatitis E can be transmitted through this means. You also want to be careful when you're buying food from street traders. So you want to try to eat recently prepared meal or meals that are served hot, because we know temperature also helps to kill some of these germs. So you want to eat your meal hot and ensure that the plate that is being used to serve is also clean. And so one other way of protecting your liver, protecting yourself from getting hepatitis is by staying away from untreated drinking water. And this drinking water also includes ice cubes. So when we go to restaurants and we get all these, what are they called now? I can't remember. All these is it cappuccino? I can't remember what they are called. But how we request for ice cubes to make it cold and everything. So we have to be sure where we're eating from, because these ice cubes can also be infected. And not just drinking water, even when you brush your teeth, you have to be sure to use clean water to brush your teeth. And so one other means of protecting your liver, keeping your liver healthy, is by avoid eating unpasteurized milk, cheese, ice cream, or other dairy products. And so one other means is by getting vaccination. So you ensure you get hepatitis A vaccination. So this is for people who are coming to Nigeria, because like I said, Nigeria hepatitis A is already endemic. So for them, if they are coming to a country like ours, they would want to get vaccinated. For those of us who are already living in Nigeria and is endemic, so we should try and make use of all these other lifestyle practices I've said. So I also said close contact of people who have hepatitis A should also be immunized. So really for us here, what we can do is to get the hepatitis. So let me just go to the next slide. Hepatitis B vaccination. And so the way it comes in like 3 doses for adults. 3 doses, and usually should last about 10 years. So you might need to get booster shots after every 10 years. And so these 3 doses are usually spread over 6 months. So if you get vaccinated now, your next dose will be in 4 weeks. Your next dose will be 6 months from the first vaccination. Sorry, let's mute our mic. There's someone whose mic is unmuted. Okay, so like I said, you get hepatitis B vaccination because it also prevents you from having hepatitis D. One other way of taking care of your liver for the females is to register for antenatal care when you are pregnant, and ensure that you get screened for hepatitis. And usually, if such an individual is infected, the baby will not get the virus if precautions are taken. So what are these precautions? After birth, the child can then be given antibodies, just like an injection. So it's different from the vaccination. The child will be given antibodies plus the vaccination, like at most 72 hours within birth, and the baby is fine. The mother can go on to breastfeed the baby. The baby will be fine. So remember I said that having unprotected sex with someone that is infected can also transmit hepatitis. So you want to practice safe sex. And you do not want to share sharp objects. So what do I mean by sharp objects? Needles, syringe, razors, clippers also. You want to get your personal clipper. Then you want to avoid sharing toothbrushes with other people. And so I've said so many things, so many ways of prevention. If you are following, just put a comment so I can be sure that you got some of the ways I said you can prevent hepatitis and take care of your liver. So avoid sharing toothbrushes, do not share sharp objects, practice safe sex. So the other ways of protecting yourself from getting hepatitis, the other ways of taking care of your liver. So if you notice you have any cut or any wound, so instead of just leaving it open, try and just cover it up with a slight dressing, even if it's just a minor plaster. Remember, like I said, if you have a cut, and I remember I mentioned hepatitis can live for up to 5 days outside. So let's assume there's a contaminated scissors 5 days ago, the virus is still active, and then you now have a cut on your skin. There can be transmission of that virus. And so you also want to clean contaminated surfaces with bleach. So one other way is to care for your liver. Stay away from medication abuse. And one common medication that has been greatly abused is paracetamol. Remember I said that there's paracetamol overdose, not just taking paracetamol. When you take it in excess, that's when it can cause the hepatitis. And so you want to use medications only when prescribed, use it in moderation, and you also want to reduce your alcohol intake. And so it's also very important to do a regular health checkup, a checkup that checks for your liver, that checks the state of your liver, how well your liver is doing. Remember I mentioned non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that has been linked to obesity, it has been linked to high blood pressure, it has been linked to high blood sugar. So you also want to do a regular health checkup that will check your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your body mass index, which is like a ratio of your weight to your height. So these are some of the ways we can protect ourselves and our liver. And I'm sure that for as many people who have listened to me, we should all be gurus by now. We should be able to teach our relatives, our loved ones, how to protect yourself. So thank you very much for listening. I will hand over to Dr. Eno. Okay, sorry, one more thing. This is just by the way. So Dr. Connect, we are organizing a free physiotherapist-led exercise session. I'm sure those of us here who have done our wellness check, we got text messages, we got WhatsApp messages. And so, like I said, it's always very good to be physically active. I remember I took a topic on what lack of physical activity and the many diseases it can cause. And so that is why we organized this very special exercise session led by a physiotherapist for our premium subscribers. So it's happening on Saturday at 10 a.m. at Bagada Phase 2. So if you are interested, you can always contact us. We'll send the full address to you. Thank you very much. So Dr. Eno, you can. You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Oko, for that very enlightening presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I wonder whether we have any questions. Do we have any questions?
Okay, I can see one question on the chat already. Can hepatitis B be cured? So like I said, remember I said there's the acute phase, meaning the body just takes care of it. So that is 6 months. So once it's more than 6 months, it then become chronic. And then there are some things so once an individual is infected, usually they would see a specialist where so many tests will be done, like a scan, ultrasound scan, a liver function test. Then they'll do like a full profile to check that if there's a current infection, if the person can infect someone. And then they'll check like a level of the viral load, that's the load of the virus. And if it gets to a particular number, they can then start medication to try and put the virus under control. And once it's under control, the medication can then be stopped, and then you just need regular follow-ups So just regular health checkup with the specialist. So that's the basic management in layman terms. Okay, I don't think there's any other question.
There's one question. What does brown urine mean?
So brown urine can, okay, do you know what? I explained the different colors in our last presentation. So probably you get a recording from Dr. Aino. So I talk about different drugs like propofol that can cause brown urine discoloration.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ben Oko. Yes, I would, we have talked about the different forms of liver disease and how to prevent. And, one of the last things Dr. Oko said is having a regular health checkup. And we are partners with Doctor Connect, and on Doctor Connect, you have access to health checks. You have, if you participate, if you buy one of the packs of Doctor Connect, you have access to different, apart from the health check, there are different benefits of that you have access to. I know she was talking about the physiotherapy session. I got a message because I'm a premium subscriber, and especially for our guests, we have, when you buy any of these packs you can see on the screen, you have access to unlimited doctor's consultation on the Doctor Connect app. You have access to online fitness gym. You have medication advice and prescriptions, and your electronic medical record is uploaded such that the doctor you're seeing can access your results. Then you have a comprehensive checkup for all the premium packages. You have a comprehensive checkup, and then different other benefits like accidental medical insurance, disability insurance, accidental life insurance. And then you also have access to some gadgets, some health check gadgets like a body composition scale and a 6-in-1 health monitor. And so buying any of these packs, it's like killing two birds with one stone. You are able to have access to these benefits, as well as coming on board to be a member of Green Mondays. And this, like I said earlier, this meeting was brought to us on the platform of Green Mondays. And so I'll tell us a little bit about what Green Mondays is all about. Green Mondays is a wellness, we promote wellness and wealth, and we have different partners. It's one organization made up of 4 different organizations in one. We have A2W, which is a network marketing technology development company, Marvel Natural Products PLC, that manufactures a range of natural health products, which I'm going to talk a bit more about. We have Vent to Earn, which is a bill payment platform, and Green Mondays, which is the public face of the company. Now, the products we have are natural. We have a range of natural health products. We have the bitters, we have the supplement, the capsule version of the bitters, we have the fire, fat burner, cleanser, restore, we have balm, we have a range of personal hygiene products as well, disinfectant, hand sanitizer, body wash, body butter, hand wash. We have a hair care product, we have teas, and we have more coming. And basically these products they address many issues, but one issue they address is the issue of oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress happens when there's an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants in the body. And the causes are on the screen. We are all exposed to these causes some of our diet is not what it should be, medication, pollution, pollutants of air and water, toxins, pesticides. We're all exposed to all these things, alcohol and inadequate intake of fruits and vegetables. Then the exercise, sometimes we don't do enough exercise, sometimes we do too much, and all these things cause oxidative stress. And depending on what part of the body the oxidative stress plays out in, we have a lot of chronic health conditions. Now, our products, starting with the flagship product, Rita Herbal Bitters, has strong antioxidant properties, and so it addresses these health conditions from the cellular level. And so the company wants us to address our health, but also coming on board and being a distributor or buying any of our packs enters you into a system whereby when you refer people to also buy these registration or wellness packs, you get value. And down the line, it can result to a lot of value, which I will show you in a minute. Now, to come on board, you can buy one of our, we have health solution packs. To buy one, you could buy one of our health solution packs, which helps you to manage different conditions. We have the immunity pack, pain and arthritis pack, hypertension lifestyle pack, diabetes lifestyle pack, senior citizens pack, fertility pack, and so many more. And these can not only give you enough products to manage those health conditions, but also it makes you come on board and get benefits, more benefits of being part of the company. A person can also decide to just register and be a distributor, depending on what package you want to start with. We have the VIP 750,000, platinum 400,000, gold 140,000, silver 75,000, and bronze 40,000 naira. And you get products, you get these health products, which have been eliciting many amazing feedbacks and testimonials over the last 2 years plus that they have been launched. Because of time, I would not be able to take those testimonials, because I know that if I asked 1 or 2 people to share, we may not even leave here today. So you can come on board with any of these packs, or you can come on board with another option called Your Level. And what does this mean in the long run? It means that if you come on board and use our products and you get value from them, you share with family and friends. And when you share with family and friends and they do the same as you, you build a network of people who are using, recommending, if they like, selling the products, and this can translate to a lot of income, passive income down the line. Now, if you're visiting with us, you're really welcome. We invite you to take a look at this, speak to the person who invited you, talk to them about how you can come on board. Now, being a part of the Green Mondays gives you access to so much more. I mean, this meeting we've had today, it's every Wednesday. We give value. You learn about your health, what you can do to prevent any of these diseases that we talk about, and so much more. Now, our health, your health is an investment, it's not an expense. But you see, if we do not if we don't invest in our health, it gets to a point where it will become an expense. And so today we've talked about one other important health condition, liver disease. And Dr. Ben Oko, thank you once again for that very enlightening presentation. We have also learned how to prevent the liver diseases. I would like us to make sure that we take action on all those prevention measures. One of the prevention measures also is taking a product like the Rita range of products, because they have antioxidant properties, they have antiviral properties, and because of time, I wouldn't be able to share testimonials, but there are a number of testimonials of people who have even had hepatitis and taking our products, their viral load went down and they got healed, they got cured. So that is all we have time for you for today. Next Wednesday is another time, another Wellness Wednesday. We look forward to having you. But again, our guests, we welcome you. I don't think anybody has indicated in the chat box that they're guests, but I believe we have a number of guests in the house. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. And we look forward to having you again. And for the distributors and members, thank you for being here as well. And we shall wind down with some music. Thank you. Have a good night and God bless. Oh, Loretta Odu, thank you for coming. Yes, yeah, you're my guest. Thank you very much. You're really welcome.
There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we make a better day, just you and me. Well, send them your heart so they know that someone cares, and their life will be stronger and free. As God has shown us by turning stone to bread, and so we all must lend a helping hand. We are the world. We are children